ahead.
I don't see it yet, right? I'm not missing it.
I think we're good. We're recording.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, I see it now. It was on my other screen. Okay, well, welcome everyone to our SUNY Oswego multi-factor authentication session at winter breakout. And multi-factor authentication is something that we are about to go and to roll out on campus. And while we're really kind of, we're test piloting our presentation because this is going to affect everyone on campus. So we put this presentation together and we'll be discussing it at many, many venues. I'm very happy that a few people at least showed up and you're looking and seeing how it's going to affect you. We're going to cover what multi-factor authentication is, why we're implementing it, the variety of systems that are involved, what our particular path and project plans are, and then we'll have a little demo. And if you want to go and turn multi-factor authentication on for yourself, you can. You would be at the very leading edge of doing it, so we might be going and changing things as we go, but we'll cover that as we go along. So I'll just say, first of all, multi-factor authentication is something that I would think everyone is very familiar with, in the sense that you probably do it for your banks or your financial institutions. Sometimes when you're doing purchases, you might be doing it. So I'm sure almost everyone has some kind of exposure to multi-factor authentication, which for us, we're going to be actually doing two-factor authentication. But the idea is to gain access to a system, then you're going to need to, why don't you mute them, John? In order to gain access to a system, you're going to need to have to share two pieces of information. One would be knowledge, something that only the user knows. And in our case, it's generally a password. And then something in your possession. So that could be, what we're going to do is probably push a code among the options. It could be push a code to an iPhone or to an authenticator or a mobile phone that you have, or there's other ways that you could do it by taking a phone call and saying that you're the other person on the end of the line. So it could be something like that. Another way of doing multi-factor authentication would be to use your fingerprint, which most mobile phones would do. And so in that way that there is a generally a password. You have an iPhone, like it's a 6-digit code that you often have to use to get in the first time. And then after that, you can use your fingerprint to prove that it's you going forward for doing it. So those are all examples of multi-factor authentication and something that you would see, be familiar with. In terms of why we're implementing multi-factor authentication, really the risks are far greater than they were in the past. And really SUNY schools, all of higher education is under attack with respect to their data being, people trying to go and steal data. I would say the risk is even higher at doctoral colleges and R1 colleges because of the research that they're doing. They're always looking for vulnerabilities and ways to get into the system. And in essence, they'll go through, they'll keep that data for a long time and then either steal it or try to make money. So ransomware attacks are all the rage now. 6 SUNY schools were hit last year. Actually, many cities were hit with ransomware attacks. So the risks are real out there. And by implementing multi-factor authentication, you really reduce the identity theft and it's a deter to hackers to be able to get into your systems. Just because you steal someone's password, and there are a lot of passwords, people can use the same password for multiple systems, and there are all kinds of lists on the dark web that list people's passwords. So that's one way to get in, but by putting in a second factor, such as we'll be doing, it really cuts down the risk around someone going and stealing it. And another reason is people have come to expect that, and you would expect that we're going to protect our information with the latest tools that we have at our disposal. So this is really the main driving factor for us to move forward. And then we have, excuse me, personally identifiable information in our systems, and the cost of a hack would be high. We do want to balance the security of our systems with doing the business of the university. And there's some areas where we might see going and implementing multi-factor authentication, particularly as we start to do it, could be difficult and might affect the way that we teach classes. So we're trying to take those risks or problems that could pop up into account as we plan the project. And Nicole can touch on some of those. And one of the other things is that we'll be going through great technical change this year. So I've got Greg's smiling face in front of me, and we are going to be going and implementing a new Desire. Well, we're going to implement Desire to Learn, which is a new digital learning environment or learning management system. That's going to be a tremendous change for people. Going and implementing this, I'd like to think isn't going to be as much change because it's something you're familiar with, but it is a technical change that is going to take a lift. And I expect as we go through and implement it, people will go and may have some barriers as they go through, but we'd like to go in to break up the project to ensure that the impact on people and their ability to go and do the business as smooth as possible. And it is going to hit a large number of academic applications, and Blackboard and Zoom, Office 365, Adobe. Spectrum U is something that's used inside the residences, and Easy Proxy is at the library. That's kind of like narrowed the list down to 6 because actually there's a number of systems inside the Adobe Creative Cloud. But those are the systems that already use the system that we're using, and use that Microsoft Azure login. But we're going to move more systems to that login as we move forward and have multi-factor authentication implemented. One of the first ones we'll do is we're going to move Banner into that login. And right now we're scheduled to do that on February 21st. And that will be that'll prepare us to go in to put Banner behind multi-factor authentication and really protect the data inside that system. Oh, I covered that for you, Nicole, but you go ahead.
That's okay.
Nicole's going to go and
That's
take.
good. That's good. Well, just, those applications that Sean mentioned, those are the ones that are using that particular piece of authentication that our multi-factor or two-factor authentication will join with. So our timeline right now for getting this out for folks to use is starting March 1st. So we'll have an opt-in period where folks can subscribe themselves, set up their own multi-factor authentication. And Mike is going to show us how to do that in the latter part of the presentation. So, and then it will be the default by March 28th. So the user experience behind this, Sean, if you can go to the next slide. This is just an example of what it looks like right now with Blackboard. So I have it set up right now. And when I go to log into Blackboard for the first time in a new browser, you authenticate the way that you have been. So I click my account, and the next screen, the next slide, Same, nothing new here. Enter your password. And then the next slide is the part that's different. So I have the two-factor authentication set up to text or call my cell phone. And so I can choose either one of those, and a code will be presented as a text message to my phone if I choose that option, or I can have an actual call and they will speak the number to you. And then you enter in that piece of information, and then I'm logged into Blackboard. If I were then to open up another tab in the same browser, then and went to Zoom, for example, since Zoom is already using that Azure authentication, it would not ask me to then authenticate with another piece of information again. So, and vice versa. So if I start up a new browser and went to Zoom and logged in there first and then went to Blackboard, then I get presented Zoom the first time, but then not Blackboard. So that's how we expect the user experience to be. And again, we hope it's not something that's, you know, very new to people. This is a piece of technology that, you know, the consumer world has been using for a while now, especially with financial information. And it really does help prevent the use of bad passwords or passwords that never get changed. And then, you know, just provides that extra level of security that we're hoping for. A couple other things to note is that this is separate from your Google two-factor authentication. So if you do have that set up in Google, which was an opt-in as well, but not turned on for everybody, that is different. So if you were to log into Google, you would still be presented with your text message or however you have that set up there. And then if you went to Blackboard in the same browser, you would be asked again for a piece of information. So they are, again, Google wasn't required on campus, but we did encourage folks and had a campaign to encourage people to opt into that. So they are two separate authentication systems. So their multi-factor authentications are separate and don't talk to each other, so to speak. So they would be separate. Now, in terms of the classroom, we've been having a lot of conversations in regards to how this works in the classroom. We understand some signals don't always come in well in the classroom. You might forget your phone, which I have done that actually. When I was teaching a CELT workshop once, I left my phone in the car and I needed to log into Google to show my presentation. So quickly run out to the car to grab it and do my two-factor authentication against Google. So we might have those situations for people who don't have smartphones. So at this point, we're talking about it would not be required at the podiums in the classrooms, but if you're using it elsewhere on campus, it would be required in your office, for example, or if you're off campus at home, it would be required. So we are kind of factoring in those situations when we go to design it. And I guess last.
I was going to say Magdalena has a question for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you were going to address it, but I just wanted to say that in my office, I also don't get any signal.
Okay.
And
so,
not every phone supports Wi-Fi calling.
Right. So one of the options is you can set your desk phone instead of a cell phone. So you would be able to use your, 315, 312 desk phone in that situation. And you can have multiple ones set up so that you could choose the method that you want.
And if that happens, generally, like the phone will ring in your office and you answer it and it'll ask if it's you trying to log in, push the hashtag or something like this. So it is fairly easy and then it'll let you in. Demi had a question too, Nicole, sorry. I mean,
She already answered my question. I don't take my phone to the classroom, so just not to get calls in between as talking. Or some classrooms in Shinneman, they're like in the basement. Like there's 175. I mean, you don't get any reception at all. So, and I used to have Google 2 authentication levels. I canceled it just because of that, because I couldn't get into my Gmail because I can't get the code. So, but if it's not activated in the classroom setting, that will be fine.
okay, I'm just wondering, do you have the wireless set up on your phone, and does that help at all? I guess it depends on which system you're using, but
I did have wireless. I have an iPhone, so but still the call doesn't go through. I don't know why, but I mean it. I think it was at the time it was AT&T I was using,
Yeah.
so I wasn't able to get the call.
okay. Okay, sorry,
Then,
okay, Nicole, back to you.
John, did you have a question too?
Yeah, my questions was related, but not everyone will be in their office. I mean, I often bring my laptop to other people's offices or doing workshops or other things in another building. And I know when we would, back in the before times when we were doing workshops in Shinneman or in the campus center, phone reception in large parts of the building simply did not work for AT&T at least. And that was a bit of a problem. Is there any other alternatives for authentication, like one of the Duo apps or one of the other things that many other campuses use?
So there is an app that you can use as well. I don't have direct experience with that one quite yet, so can't really speak to it. I'm not sure if Mike has used it yet, but there
I'm using
is.
it.
Oh, Sean has. Okay.
Yeah,
So there
Yep.
is an app available too.
Because
Yeah.
Wi-Fi access would be more widespread, and that I've used
Right.
this at Duke for the last several years, and they only check authentication for any device every 4 or 5 days. So it's not every time you connect or every instance, but as long as you had Wi-Fi access, the app worked pretty nicely.
I have
Right.
another question.
Sure.
So this will, you verify, it will send you a text, it will send you a code that you will enter into the computer.
Correct.
You don't have to like reply to the text.
Correct. So you'll
Because-
you'll receive a text with, it's probably a 6-digit number.
Okay.
And then in this screen, if I were to hit the text, it would go to my cell phone, and then I'd be presented with another box to input the code.
Okay. This is mostly about a situation when somebody is abroad, where you can probably receive texts using AT&T, but you can't really use your phone to send anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't, there's no need to reply to any of the text messages.
But the Authenticator app will be really easy for people to use too. I don't know if we have any slides of that yet, but we can get some and add them to the presentation.
Just a quick question, related question. So some banks now, they enforce you to change your passwords every 6 months or a year.
Mhm.
Are you planning to also make that kind of change and enforce everybody to automatically, like, I think the system gives you, hey, it has been 6 months or a year, you haven't changed your password, and it enforces you to change. Do you plan to do that in addition to these things?
I would say that if I have my way and time, yes, we will go and implement something like that.
We're not doing it now.
We're not doing it right now, though. And we never have, but largely the reason we haven't done it is because we don't really have the technology that can go and support it. But if at some point we may.
Now, if you will this apply to students if they're, for example, in the computer lab? So they're all gonna have to carry their cell phones. I mean, they do anyway, but they're gonna have to get the Authenticator app as well in order
Yeah,
just to
they-
log into a lab computer, or
I think we need to have some conversation revolving around general access labs and then instructional labs. So
log into the computer, if it'll depend on what you're doing on the computer, you might have to multi-factor authenticate.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
if you're
I
going
think-
into Adobe, or if you're going into any of those apps on your computer, yes. Blackboard, if students are going to Blackboard.
Yeah, I think it's probably can be expected that they will need to use Blackboard in the computer lab.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Before I hand it off to Mike. Mike is going to actually show how to get it set up and the options that are available. So I will pass it off to him.
Right. Some of it was tough getting screenshots, so a couple of them are awkward, but basically we'll give you a URL. When it's optional, we'll give you a URL. When you go to actually, once we turn on enforcing it, you will be forced to do this. But right now, if you wanted to try to turn this on, and I'll give you the URL at the end, the one that shows on the screen isn't 100% the correct URL, so don't bother to copy that one down. I'll have it on a later slide. You go to log in, just like you would to Microsoft, so go ahead, John. All right, enter your password just like you would. All right, now it tells you you have to enter more. This is where when we enforce this, starting March 28th, person would get presented with this as they go to log in. So we need more information. So you'll be required to click next. And it's going to give you this page where that pull down will show you a number of choices. The choices are in a later slide, but for this right this minute, I did pick the mobile app. So if you pick a mobile app, which by default, since this is Microsoft, what Microsoft's mobile app is Microsoft Authenticator, you would want to have loaded that onto your device beforehand and have that on there. So if you could pick mobile app and click setup, and you can either, well, there were two choices. Can you go back 1 second? All right. See how there's two ways to choose the mobile app. You can either get and I've picked the first one. I get presented with a yes, it's me presentation on my phone. So it's not a text message, it's not a code. I just have to say, yes, I approve. If you pick the verification code button, that will then send a code. It will ask for a code from your Authenticator app that you'll have to look at, and you'd have to enter that in to their into this. So you have those two choices. I find the first one, I just say approve login, and I go ahead and I don't have to worry about looking at my Authenticator to see a code to enter. So if you could hit next, what it's going to do is then you start the Authenticator app on your phone, whichever it is. You just say add an account. It starts your camera up, you point at that, and it creates you an account. You then have to, it will present you with a code on your phone that you have to come back here and enter, and you're all set. So the setup is quite trivial. If you want to click next, it then asks you to try to make sure you set up more than one. Again, we would always caution that in the more than one should be some other kind of device or some other kind of phone number. And I got to use the example of you lose your cell phone broken, you just don't have it for whatever reason, to have an alternate. So to have a phone call or something like that to another choice. So if you want to click next, right, it's just trying to do some additional as you're setting up, so you can use your phone or whatever else that you have done. So this, again, so I had to take a picture of my screen, so obviously it isn't beautiful, but here's the kind of choices that you'll have. You can call your authentication phone, which is a phone call. You can text, as we talked about, and it sends you a code, and you have to enter a code. You can call your office phone, which, as Sean mentioned, it just says, hey, I'm calling you to log into, Microsoft. you hit the pound sign, it's the approval. You use the app, or you can use a verification code from. So when they talk about the app through app, they talk about Microsoft Authenticator app. You can also use other things. So for my purposes, for my Google, I use Google's Authenticator app. So you can also use the Google Authenticator app to. It's set up exactly the same way. You go to a point, you've got the Authenticator app, you add an account, you scan that QR code, enter the code, and you're done. So for, I think it was Femi who talked about, I was in the basement and couldn't get a phone call. Well, use an Authenticator app, as long as you have wireless access, should circumvent that issue. But I think, you know, having another phone, something that's other than this one device, I guess, is always going to be an optimal thing. Well, yep, thank you, John. In the chat, it was asked about Authenticator. It is Microsoft Authenticator, and it is available on both the iPhone and Android devices. And there is also the Google Authenticator app. Again, just actually those words, and it is available on both, in both stores too. This just shows you, this is a screenshot. I think actually this is actually Greg Fuller's page. This just shows you what you have. So you can go back in and look, and you can make adjustments. So just because you set it up once doesn't mean you have to be done. You can always go in to your account, if you may, excuse me, and go through and make adjustments as you may need to. So for this one, Greg's got his cell phone set up, his authentication phone. He's got his office phone set up, and then he's also got an Authenticator app set up on his Android phone, which is the last one there. So, so you know, if you need to take one off, change, add, remove, as things change. So I think that is it. I think the next slide has the URL on it, maybe. That's the URL if you wanted to try to set it up. I'm going to say next week. We're still trying to tweak a few things, but you can go in and use that URL to set up right now. You can put that in the chat.
Yeah.
And again, it's something plain and simple, I guess, at this point in time. So if you turn it on for yourself, then you'll be using it if you want to activate it. So that's all I had. It's very similar to, again, as you deal with your insurance company, your bank, your doctor, many other things. It's very similar. The only choice that Microsoft does not give us is the use of an email at this point, but that's part of their product, that they don't utilize that. And I'm assuming because they assume you're using Microsoft for mail, and you couldn't email yourself if you couldn't log in. That's my personal opinion. So other questions?
Just another related question. So since we are moving into Microsoft products more and more last 10 years or last few years, yep. Is there a plan to move the email system and calendar into the Microsoft products too in the future, just to have a bundle and ease of use or whatever it is, or you just want to keep those two things separate?
So I would say that's a strategic question. To be honest, for now, I would say we're not intending on moving towards the Microsoft email or calendar. To me, that's like a big step sideways. It'll be a tremendous amount of work. And it just feels like there's so many other items to work on. Really, it's not a priority. I do realize as we go forward, more of the SUNY schools and our other sister institutions are moving to Microsoft products. And that largely depends on when people moved into the cloud. So there's probably about 15 schools that are that would be Google campuses. And those are generally tend to be earlier adopters. And then there's the schools that have moved lately or are moving now or move in the future. And it seems to me that schools that move now are all moving to Microsoft. I'm not looking for us to move in the next few years. There's just too many other things to do.
I think the good description of it, it is sort of a move sideways, and it is a huge amount of, would be a huge amount of work.
So I have another question. So maybe you already said it, sorry. How often are you going to have to do this? Because with Zoom, I seem to be kicked out after a very short period of inactivity. So sometimes I have to log into Zoom several times a day. Or is this going to be good for the day as long as you don't close the browser?
Should be good for the day as long as you don't close the browser.
Okay.
We're going to work.
But I would say you shouldn't be getting kicked out of Zoom every couple hours. I mean, our setup should mean that you have to log in kind of like every day. And actually, I get asked about every day to go log in, and I just click and it logs me in again. I do know that sometimes you can get into Zoom without logging in. And in essence, you're logging into a guest account using your initial setup. So I'm not sure, like if you're getting kicked out at some point, I'm not quite sure that you are logged in. But you'll know if you're logged in once we go and put multi-factor authentication in, because you'll have to put in the second code.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, this is good. I can't thank you enough for all the questions you asked, because as I said, this was the first time we're running through this, and we know a lot more items to add into our presentations. I would, if you want to go and implement multi-factor setup, do the setup. If you want to be brave, you could do it now. We are going to make changes in the days and weeks ahead, so it might change as you go, but feel free to email us and ask us questions. But we will be putting a push out for certain as the as we move into February and really do far more outreach to people and let them know, and hopefully we'll have a lot of people move before they're forced to move on the 28th, so we can avoid chaos on that day.
And I would just add that we plan on having, documentation, training materials available for everyone to kind of walk through what Mike just demonstrated, and some videos available for people as well. And the questions are all very helpful so that we can anticipate what, different situations that we might not have thought of. So if you do set it up and come across some situations where you think we need to, think out something differently or account for various situations, let us know and we can see what we can do.
Okay, I'm going to share this with people too in the chat. Am I going to? Oh, there's more in the chat. Way to go, Sheila. Very helpful. Yeah, school of business. Thanks. And then I will share this so that anyone with the SUNY Oswego, anyone in this will make it. Anyone in SUNY Oswego can view the slides now. Okay. Thank you very much, John. We're good, I think. Go ahead.
One last question. Might it be worth considering perhaps using cookies, if that's an option, to have at least some degree of persistence in it, so that every time you log out and come back into a browser that you might not have to do this? I know last year when some people were coming back from Duke after having been away from teaching there, there was a lot of grumbling among grad students and faculty and students about the fact that they had to authenticate every 3 days from a device. If this is something that's happening multiple times a day, that could be a bit annoying to people, especially for people who may move from one computer to another, depending on where they're working. I don't know if that's an option with this type of authentication. They were using the Duo app, which worked against all their, all their systems. So, and it was just saying, yes, I approve this login every 3 days. And there was a lot of grumbling about that. So,
Yeah.
but that's due. So,
Yeah.
they're used to being treated better in lots of ways.
Well, we'll have to go back and look and see what our options are. I'll just say, like, right now, the way we're expecting set up, and we're largely setting it up similar to how Plattsburgh set it up, is when people leave their browser, their authentication for a couple hours, then they have to re-authenticate. Will we go and change that? I'm not sure. And I don't know that we can put in a cookie, that'll.
I think that's,
I'm
not sure how it does it, but
that's more of a yeah, I know
it
you
might
can
have
do
been
that
something
with-
tied to Duo.
with Duo, but we're tied into the Microsoft way, which is really tied into the Microsoft login, which we've gone to a couple years ago,
Yeah.
as when we had those other Blackboard.
Yeah, it was
issues.
just a question.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
If the amount of disruption could be minimized, that would be helpful.
I agree. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for your input.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.